Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real. Most people are living life completely backward. They spend their days watching others, comparing, competing, obsessing over what someone else has, and in the process, they lose sight of the one thing that actually matters: themselves. They scroll through social media, measure their worth by someone else's success, and wonder why they feel lost, stuck, frustrated. But here's the truth: the more you focus on others, the further you drift from your own potential. Success isn't about keeping up. It's not about comparison, competition, or validation. It's about clarity. And clarity only comes when you turn inward, when you stop chasing what others are doing and start investing in your own mind, your own habits, your own goals. This isn't selfish, it's essential. Because the second you stop looking around and start locking in on you, everything changes. The distractions fade, the doubts disappear, the excuses stop, and momentum begins. If you're tired of feeling stuck, tired of feeling behind, let me tell you something. The problem isn't out there. It's not the economy, it's not your past, it's not other people. The problem is where you're placing your focus. Shift it back to yourself and watch how fast your life starts moving forward. This mindset shift is the key to unlocking real success. And today we're going to unpack the hard truths most people ignore, but that you need to hear. And it starts right here. Take full responsibility for your life. Your life is yours. Stop living through others. Too many people go through life as spectators instead of players. They watch others succeed, follow trends, and adjust their goals based on what society, family, or peers expect of them. But here's the truth: your life is yours. No one else is responsible for what you achieve, how you feel, or where you end up. The second you start living based on other people's opinions, you give away your power. You become a passenger in your own journey, going wherever the crowd takes you instead of steering your own course. We live in a world where external influence is stronger than ever. Social media bombards you with images of success, luxury, and achievement. You see people traveling the world, driving expensive cars, and living lives that seem perfect. And without even realizing it, you start measuring yourself against them. But here's what you don't see. You don't see the struggle, the failures, the insecurities behind those curated images. You don't see the years of work, the sleepless nights, or the personal battles they fight behind the scenes. You only see the results, not the reality. And if you let those illusions dictate your path, you will forever be chasing shadows instead of creating your own light. Think about it. How much time do you spend worrying about what others think? How often do you hold back on your dreams because you're afraid of judgment? Maybe you want to start a business, but you hesitate because you're worried about what your friends or family will say. Maybe you want to change careers, but the fear of looking like a failure holds you back. Every time you make a decision based on how it will be perceived instead of what you truly want, you're living for others, not for yourself. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by following the crowd. They got there by trusting themselves, by going against the grain, by making decisions that made sense to them even when others doubted them. Look at innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders. They weren't concerned with fitting in. They weren't seeking approval. They were focused on one thing: becoming the best version of themselves and bringing their vision to life. But too many people let fear dictate their actions. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of standing out. So instead of taking risks and pursuing what truly matters to them, they settle for what's safe, for what's accepted, for what keeps them in good standing with their peers. They follow the traditional path, even if it doesn't fulfill them. They stay in relationships that drain them. They work jobs that suffocate them. They live lives that aren't even their own, all because they're too afraid to step out of the mold. The truth is, the only person who has to live with your choices is you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter if they approve. It doesn't matter if they understand. What matters is that you are happy, that you are growing, that you are creating a life that excites you. And the only way to do that is to take ownership of your journey and stop living through others. Comparison kills progress. Focus on your own journey. The fastest way to kill your potential is to compare yourself to others. The moment you start measuring your progress against someone else's, you lose sight of your own path. You stop focusing on what you need to do and instead waste energy wondering why someone else is ahead of you. But here's what you need to understand. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone has their own timeline, their own struggles, their own strengths. Just because someone is succeeding now doesn't mean you won't. And just because you're facing challenges now doesn't mean you're failing. The problem is comparison is everywhere. It's built into our society. From a young age, we're taught to measure our success based on how we stack up against others. In school, we're ranked by grades. In sports, we're ranked by performance. In life, we're constantly told to look at where others are and use that as a benchmark for where we should be. But this mindset is poison. It traps you in a cycle of self-doubt and dissatisfaction. Because no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone who seems to be doing better. And if you define success based on where you stand compared to others, you'll never feel like enough. Think about it. When you scroll through social media and see someone buying a new car, getting promoted, or living a dream life, how do you feel? Inspired? Or does a part of you feel behind, like you're not doing enough, like you should be further along? That's the trap of comparison. It makes you feel like your progress is insignificant, even when it's not. But what you don't see is the full story. That person might have been working on their business for 10 years while you're just getting started. That person might have sacrificed things you aren't willing to sacrifice. That person might be struggling in ways you can't see. The point is, their success has nothing to do with your journey. You need to break free from the mindset that success is a race. It's not. It's an individual game. You're not competing with anyone but yourself. The only thing that matters is that you are improving, that you are growing, that you are moving forward. If you're better today than you were yesterday, that's progress. If you're learning, if you're pushing yourself, if you're staying consistent, you're winning. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. The most successful people in the world don't waste time comparing. They don't sit around watching others. They focus on their own game. They track their own progress. They set their own goals. They understand that the only thing that truly matters is how far they've come, not how far someone else is. When you compare, you create unnecessary stress. You create pressure that isn't even real. You start setting goals based on what others have instead of what you actually want. You start feeling behind even when you're exactly where you need to be. And worst of all, you lose gratitude for what you have. You stop appreciating your own journey because you're too busy wishing you had someone else's. But here's the thing, your journey is unique. Your strengths, your struggles, your experiences, they're all shaping you in ways you can't even see yet. You might not be where you want to be yet, but that doesn't mean you won't get there. The only thing standing between you and your goals is your ability to stay focused, stay consistent, and stop letting outside distractions pull you off course. So ask yourself, what are you focusing on? Are you spending more time watching others than working on yourself? Are you measuring your success based on someone else's timeline? Are you letting comparison drain your motivation instead of fueling your progress? Because if you are, it's time to shift. It's time to block out the noise, stop worrying about what anyone else is doing, and put all your energy into your own growth. Winners don't watch the competition, they work. There's a massive difference between people who achieve extraordinary success and those who simply exist in the realm of mediocrity. The difference is not talent, luck, or some unfair advantage, it's their focus. Winners don't waste their energy watching what others are doing. They don't sit on the sidelines analyzing their competition, trying to predict their moves, or worrying about who's ahead and who's behind. Winners work. While others are watching, talking, and overthinking, they are executing. They are building, grinding, and improving. Too many people get stuck in the cycle of observation instead of action. They think knowing what others are doing gives them an edge. They analyze, research, and study their competition as if the key to success is hidden in someone else's strategy. But the truth is, real success doesn't come from knowing what others are doing. It comes from mastering what you do. It comes from relentless execution, from putting in the hours, from sharpening your skills until you become unstoppable. Look at the best athletes, the top performers in any industry. They don't obsess over their competition, they obsess over their craft. A world-class boxer doesn't spend hours watching his rivals' interviews. He's in the gym perfecting his technique. A billionaire entrepreneur doesn't scroll through competitors' websites all day. He's focused on growing his business. Champions don't have time to watch others because they're too busy working on themselves. When you watch the competition, you shift your focus outward instead of inward. You start making decisions based on what others are doing instead of what's best for you. You start adjusting your plans, second-guessing your instincts, and playing a reactionary game instead of leading. And the moment you become reactive instead of proactive, you've already lost. True success comes from clarity. It comes from knowing your goals, committing to your process, and executing without distraction. The reality is no one else's journey matters. It doesn't matter if someone else is winning faster, growing quicker, or getting more attention. It doesn't matter what they're doing because it has nothing to do with your path. Your only job is to get better, to improve, to push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. Winners understand that the only real competition is with themselves. They don't care who's next to them. They care about whether they are improving. Did they train harder today than yesterday? Did they execute better? Did they take another step forward? That's the only thing that matters, because when you focus purely on yourself, your growth becomes inevitable. Most people never achieve greatness because they spend too much time looking left and right, worrying about who's ahead, who's behind, and who's doing what. But the second you stop looking around and start putting your head down to do the work, that's when everything changes. The second you stop caring about the competition and start pouring everything into your own development, you become untouchable. Energy flows where attention goes. Direct it inward. Your focus is your most valuable resource. What you give your attention to is what grows, what expands, and what ultimately shapes your reality. If you spend your time focusing on external distractions, on what others are doing, on things that don't serve your goals, you will never reach your full potential. Energy flows where attention goes, and if your attention is scattered, your results will be weak. But when you direct all of your energy inward on your growth, your skills, your goals, you unlock a level of power that most people never experience. Think about how much energy is wasted on things that don't move the needle. People spend hours worrying about things they can't control, scrolling through social media, analyzing what others have, complaining about circumstances, and making excuses about why they're not where they want to be. Every moment spent on distractions is a moment taken away from progress. Every bit of energy directed outward is energy stolen from your potential. Winners understand this at a deep level. They don't allow themselves to be pulled in a million directions. They protect their focus like it's their lifeline, because it is. They don't waste time engaging in negativity, gossip, or drama. They don't entertain distractions that don't serve their mission. They keep their mind locked in on one thing, getting better. The mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, you will find more problems. If you focus on opportunities, you will create more opportunities. If you focus on what you lack, you will feel scarcity. If you focus on growth, you will experience abundance. The difference between successful people and everyone else is not luck or background, it's what they choose to focus on. They understand that whatever they feed their mind becomes their reality, so they deliberately focus on things that elevate them. Most people allow their attention to be hijacked by the outside world. They let notifications dictate their actions. They react to every news story, every comment, every distraction. They have no control over their focus because they've never trained themselves to direct it inward. And as a result, they live in a constant state of mental exhaustion, feeling busy, but never making real progress. But when you take control of your focus, everything changes. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You become more productive, more efficient, more powerful. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, and you start pouring all of your attention into things that create real results. Directing your energy inward means taking full ownership of your mind. It means being intentional about what you consume, what you think about, and how you spend your time. It means eliminating distractions, cutting out negativity, and training your brain to focus on solutions instead of problems. It means waking up every day with a clear purpose and refusing to let anything pull you off track. The people who achieve massive success are not the ones who have the most talent or the best opportunities. They are the ones who have mastered their focus. They have learned how to channel all of their energy into their mission without getting distracted by things that don't serve them. They don't allow their attention to be controlled by the outside world. They control it themselves. Every great achievement in history was made possible by someone who knew how to focus. Every great athlete, every great entrepreneur, every great leader, they all understood this principle. They knew that their attention was their power and they refused to waste it. They directed all of their energy inward into their vision, their craft, their development. And because of that, they rose above the noise, the competition, and the distractions. The question is, where is your attention going? Are you letting your energy be drained by things that don't matter, or are you directing it inward toward your growth, your mission, and your success? Are you allowing yourself to be distracted by what others are doing, or are you locked in on your own path? Because the moment you decide to control your focus, to direct all of your energy inward, you unlock a level of potential that most people will never experience. Master your mind, control your habits, build discipline. Everything you achieve in life starts in your mind. Your thoughts shape your actions shape your habits, and your habits determine your future. If you don't learn to master your mind, you will always be a prisoner of your circumstances. If you don't control your habits, they will control you. If you don't build discipline, you will never have the consistency needed to reach your full potential. Success is not about motivation, talent, or luck. It's about mastering yourself at the deepest level. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your biggest enemy. Most people go through life without realizing that their biggest battle is not external, it's internal. It's the battle against self-doubt, against laziness, against fear, against the voice that tells them to quit when things get hard. If you don't take control of your mind, that voice will win every time. It will keep you in the same patterns, the same limitations, the same excuses. But the moment you decide to take charge, to reprogram your thinking, to replace negative thoughts with empowering ones, everything changes. The people who achieve great things in life are not the ones who never feel doubt or fear. They are the ones who refuse to let those emotions control them. They have trained their minds to stay strong, to stay focused, to push forward no matter what. They don't wait until they feel like doing the work. They do it anyway. They don't let distractions pull them away from their goals. They stay locked in. They have built the mental resilience to keep going even when things get tough, and that resilience is what separates them from everyone else. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is not about being perfect, it is about being consistent. It is about doing what needs to be done even when you don't want to. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack discipline. They rely on motivation, and when motivation fades, they quit. But discipline doesn't rely on feelings, it relies on commitment. It is the ability to do what is necessary day in and day out, no matter how you feel. Your habits are the foundation of your future. Every small action you take, every routine you follow, every choice you make is either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. There is no such thing as neutral habits. Everything you do is either building you up or tearing you down. Successful people understand this. They design their days with intention. They create routines that set them up for success. They eliminate habits that slow them down and replace them with habits that accelerate their progress. They don't leave their growth to chance, they take control of it. If you want to change your life, start by changing your habits. Start by identifying the things that are holding you back, the distractions, the procrastination, the excuses, and replace them with habits that will move you forward. Wake up earlier, train your body, read every day, set goals and track your progress. Cut out negativity, surround yourself with people who push you to be better. Master your emotions, control your impulses. Become someone who does what they say they will do, no matter what. Success is not a one-time event. It is a result of daily disciplines repeated over time. It is built in the small moments, in the decisions you make when no one is watching. It is the result of years of consistent effort, of choosing growth over comfort, of prioritizing long-term results over short-term pleasure. The people who win are not the ones who work hard for a week or a month. They are the ones who stay committed for years, no matter what obstacles come their way. Most people never reach their full potential because they don't have control over themselves. They let their emotions dictate their actions. They let distractions pull them off course. They let bad habits run their lives. But the moment you decide to take control, to master your mind, to control your habits, to build unshakable discipline, you become unstoppable. Stop seeking validation. Your worth comes from within. One of the biggest traps in life is seeking validation from others. Too many people base their self-worth on opinions, approval, and external recognition. They wait for others to tell them they are good enough, successful enough, worthy enough. But the truth is, if you rely on validation from others, you will never be truly free. You will always be controlled by what people think, by what they say, by whether or not they approve. Real confidence, real power comes from within. It is something you create for yourself, not something you get from others. The need for validation is one of the biggest killers of potential. It keeps people stuck in fear, afraid to take risks, afraid to step outside the box, afraid to be different. They hold back their ideas, their ambitions, their dreams because they are worried about how they will be perceived. They shape their lives around what is accepted instead of what truly fulfills them. They play small, they conform, they do what is expected instead of what is right for them. And in the end, they live a life that is not their own. The truth is, no one's opinion of you matters more than your own. No amount of external validation will ever be enough if you don't already believe in yourself. You can have all the praise, all the recognition, all the approval in the world, but if you don't have self-belief, it will never feel like enough. You will always be chasing the next compliment, the next achievement, the next source of validation, hoping that it will finally make you feel worthy, but real worth, real confidence doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. Successful people don't seek validation, they create it. They don't wait for permission to go after what they want. They don't need approval to take action. They trust themselves, they believe in their vision, they follow their own path even when others don't understand it. They are driven by their own standards, not by external praise. They don't need others to tell them they are good enough because they already know it. When you stop seeking validation, you take back your power. You stop caring about fitting in. You stop worrying about what others think. You stop needing approval to feel good about yourself. Instead, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself for yourself. You set your own standards. You measure your success based on your own growth, not on how others perceive you. You build a confidence that is unshakable because it is not based on external factors. It is based on who you are and what you do. Most people are afraid to be judged, so they never take risks. They never put themselves out there. They never step into their full potential. They are too worried about failure, about criticism, about what others might say. But the truth is, people will judge you no matter what you do. Whether you play small or go all in, whether you succeed or fail, whether you stay quiet or make an impact, people will always have opinions. You cannot control what others think, but you can control how much power you give their opinions. If you live for approval, you will die with regret. If you let validation dictate your actions, you will never create something truly great. The people who change the world, who leave a legacy, who build extraordinary lives, are not the ones who seek approval. They are the ones who rise above it. They don't need the world to tell them they are worthy. They don't need applause to keep going. They operate from an internal drive, a belief in themselves so strong that no external opinion can shake it. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you set yourself free. You no longer need permission. You no longer care about fitting in. You no longer waste energy worrying about how others perceive you. Instead, you channel all of that energy into your goals, your growth, your success. You step into your power fully, without hesitation, without fear, without the need for approval. And when you do that, nothing can stop you. Detach from opinions, focus on results. Most people live their lives enslaved by opinions of family, friends, society, even strangers on the internet. They let external voices dictate their actions, control their emotions, and shape their self-worth. But opinions don't create success, results do. What others think of you is irrelevant. What matters is what you produce, what you build, what you achieve. The more you focus on opinions, the less you focus on execution. And execution is the only thing that moves you forward. People waste so much time defending themselves, explaining their choices, trying to change how others perceive them. They hesitate to take action because they're afraid of criticism. They hold back on their goals because they don't want to be judged. But while they're stuck in that mental loop, the ones who win are too busy working to care. The ones who succeed understand that opinions have no real impact on their outcomes. Everyone has an opinion, but very few have results. The loudest critics are usually the ones who have accomplished the least. They project their insecurities, their fears, their limitations onto others. If you listen to them, you absorb their doubts and make them your own. The key is to detach. Detach from praise, detach from criticism, detach from the need for approval. The only thing that matters is progress. The only thing that matters is whether you are getting better, growing stronger, and moving closer to your goals. Success doesn't come from being liked, accepted, or admired. It comes from consistent execution, from mastering your craft, from taking action relentlessly. The world is full of people who talk but never do. Be the one who does. Be the one who takes risks, makes decisions, moves forward without hesitation. The moment you stop worrying about opinions and start focusing on results, you separate yourself from the masses. You step into a level of power most will never experience. Your time is limited. Cut out distractions. Every second you spend on something that doesn't serve your goals is a second wasted. time is the most valuable resource you have, yet most people throw it away on distractions that add nothing to their lives. They scroll mindlessly, engage in meaningless conversations, waste energy on things that don't move them forward. Then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they aren't making progress, why their dreams seem further away instead of closer. The truth is, success is not about having more time, it's about using your time wisely. Look at the people who achieve extraordinary things. They don't have more hours in the day than anyone else. They just use their time differently. They cut out distractions. They eliminate anything that doesn't align with their vision. They don't waste time on drama, negativity, or things that drain their energy. They are intentional with every moment, every decision, every action. Most people operate in reaction mode. They wake up and immediately check their phones. They let notifications dictate their focus. They allow other people's agendas to control their day, but the most successful people don't live like that. They take ownership of their time. They structure their day around their priorities, not distractions. They guard their focus like it's their most valuable asset, because it is. The problem is, most distractions feel harmless. Scrolling for a few minutes, watching one more episode, saying yes to one more obligation. It all seems small in the moment, but over time, those small distractions add up. They steal hours, days, years from your life. They keep you from making real progress. The difference between those who win and those who don't isn't talent or intelligence. It's how they manage their time. If you want to change your life, start by eliminating distractions. Stop letting other people's demands control your schedule. Stop consuming content that adds nothing to your growth. Stop engaging in habits that don't serve your goals. Start using your time with purpose. Start creating instead of consuming. Start structuring your days around what actually matters. Because once you take control of your time, you take control of your future. Embrace solitude. Find your true power. Most people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness, but solitude is where true power is built. It is in the moments of silence, away from the noise, that you find clarity, strength, and direction. When you constantly surround yourself with others, with distractions, with external influences, you lose connection with yourself. You become a reflection of what others expect instead of who you truly are. The ones who achieve greatness are the ones who are comfortable being alone. They use solitude to think, to strategize, to grow. They don't fear their own company. They thrive in it. Society conditions people to always seek stimulation, to fill every moment with noise, entertainment, and social interactions. But if you never take time to be alone, you never get to know yourself. You never develop independent thoughts. You never build the self-awareness necessary for true success. The most powerful individuals in history, leaders, innovators, creators, spent time in solitude. They understood that greatness is not found in constant interaction, but in deep reflection. Solitude forces you to face yourself, to confront your fears, your weaknesses, your doubts. Most people avoid being alone because they don't want to deal with those inner battles. They drown themselves in distractions to escape their own thoughts. But those who embrace solitude become mentally unbreakable. They gain clarity on what they truly want, on who they truly are. They separate themselves from the herd and build an identity that is not shaped by external influence, but by internal strength. When you embrace solitude, you stop needing validation, approval, or constant stimulation. You develop the ability to think for yourself, to move with purpose, to operate from a place of strength rather than reaction. You learn to trust your own decisions, to become self-reliant, to build a mindset that is unshakable. You gain control over your emotions, your focus, your energy. The world is full of people who are always connected yet feel lost. Be the one who is alone yet completely in control. Commit fully. Burn the bridges of retreat. Most people fail because they leave themselves a way out. They approach their goals with hesitation, with a backup plan, with the mindset that if things get too hard, they can always quit. But the ones who succeed at the highest level don't operate that way. They commit fully. They go all in. They burn the bridges that lead back to comfort, to excuses, to mediocrity. When failure is not an option, success becomes inevitable. People like the idea of success, but most are not willing to pay the price. They want results, but they don't want the discomfort, the sacrifice, the discipline that comes with it. They start, but the moment things get difficult, they pull back. They doubt themselves. They hesitate. They entertain the idea of quitting, and that hesitation is what keeps them stuck. The moment you give yourself an option to retreat, you've already lost. The most powerful commitment you can make is the one where you eliminate all alternatives, when you decide that no matter what, you will find a way, when you remove the possibility of failure from your mind and replace it with the certainty of success, when you stop seeing obstacles as reasons to quit and start seeing them as steps on the path. True commitment means there is no plan B. It means you are willing to endure whatever it takes. It means you are willing to keep going, not just when it's easy, but when it's brutal, when it's exhausting, when every part of you wants to stop. The greatest achievements in history were made by people who burned their bridges, who put themselves in a position where they had no choice but to win. They didn't allow themselves to retreat into safety, into comfort, into mediocrity. They made a decision and never looked back. They understood that real power comes from complete commitment, from removing doubt, from moving forward with absolute certainty. When you operate with that mindset, nothing can stop you. This is your life. No one else is going to live it for you. No one else is going to save you. No one else is going to do the work. And that's the best news you'll ever hear, because it means you have the power. You decide what happens next. The moment you stop seeking validation, the moment you cut out distractions, the moment you fully commit without looking back, that's the moment your life changes forever. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is how badly you want it. Stop focusing on others. Stop waiting for permission. Stop making excuses. Take control, go all in, and never look back. And if this hit you deep, if you're ready to step up, take action, and rewrite your future, then subscribe to Tony Robbins' Track for more, because this is not just motivation. This is the mindset of winners. Now get out there and make it happen.